Hi, welcome to Dial a Teacher. My name is Dimmitt Stanley, and tonight we have a science program that you might not know that much about. And it's one of my very favorite subjects, and so I'm going to need a caller pretty soon to help me with this. Now, this subject is a topic that a lot of people don't know much about because these animals are nocturnal. And we're going to talk about bats tonight. Miami has about 6 species of bats, and you may never have seen them because they come out at night and they're not easy to see. They move very quickly, and they're not in large numbers here. We have really a relatively small population of each one of the species of bats here in Miami. In other parts of the United States, there are caves that have millions of bats all in the cave hiding during the daytime together, and they come out at dusk to forage for insects. Most of the bats that are in the United States, most of them, are insect feeders. So they have plenty to eat in the summertime, in the springtime, but in the wintertime, in most of the United States, it's too cold. The insects might die off. So wonder what those bats have to do every winter. And they have several options that they can do. Now, what we're going to look at, it's really an amazing and surprising number of bats that are in the world. And what we'd like to do is first find out there's a name for the group of bats. You know, every animal is in a family and a genus and a species, and they're in an order. And so we're going to take a look at the name of the order for bats and it's a little bit of information about them. Okay, let's take a look at that. This is order Chiroptera, which means hand wing. And so chiro means hand, P-T-E-R-A, ptera means wing, so hand wing. And you might not believe it, but there are 925 species, different species of bats in the world. There are some that are so tiny and some that are really quite huge. So this is kind of an amazing thing. Most of these bats, most of this large number here, really are in the tropics. And so they're not necessarily in temperate regions. Temperate regions are where the weather is a little colder. We have large numbers of animals in caves in the temperate region, but not the diversity or the variety of bats in the temperate regions as they do in the tropics. The tropics is just rich. I think I have a caller that can help me. Hi, what's your name?
David Javier Alvarez.
And what school do you represent?
Robert Rennie.
Okay, great. Now, we're talking about some weird animals. Have you ever seen a bat before?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you some pictures in a few minutes of some different types of bats. And believe it or not, bats are just about my favorite animal. And because once you actually get to see one and hold one and look at it, they're very smart and they're quite interesting. Their behavior is very, very interesting. So, what does the name Chiroptera mean? Did you see that a minute ago?
No.
It means hand wing. And their fingers of their hand are actually elongated with webbing in between them to produce this really large wing. So it's their fingers that produce this flying instrument. And because they have fingers, they can actually change the position of them and actually maneuver through flight very, very well. Why would they need to maneuver so well?
So they could fly at night.
Yes, but you can just fly straight at night. Why do they need to maneuver so quickly and dart in and out? What would be the purpose of that?
To dodge things.
To dodge things? Yes. They can actually detect if something is in their way. How do they detect if something's in their way? Do you know?
With their I don't know.
That's okay. They have an interesting method of doing this. They actually use echolocation. Have you ever heard that word before?
Yeah.
Okay, what other animal does this? Do you know other animals that use echolocation?
Owls.
Yes, and dolphins, and some whales. So they actually send out a pulse of sound, it bounces off of something, and comes back, and they can tell how far away that is, how large it is, the shape of it, and they do this continuously as they're maneuvering through the trees, and they miss them. Plus, if something's chasing them, they can maybe out-dodge it. But why else, other than just dodging things, would they need to be so maneuverable? What do they eat? What do a lot of them eat? Have any idea? Most of the ones in the United States eat insects, flying insects, like mosquitoes, like moths. And some of those things fly very erratically. Do you know what that word means? Do you know what erratic means? If someone tells you you're acting erratically.
That means that I'm acting
So,
wacko.
I can't quite hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Is that I'm acting wild?
Well, yes. In other words, moths moths that are tasty don't fly in a straight line. They fly up and then down and then up and then down. And the reason they do that is so that the bat can't zoom in on them and echolocate and capture them. So in order to capture something that is really flying all over the place, a bat has to also have that same kind of maneuverability. Thank you for helping me. You've been great. Hope you call me back because we're going to talk some more about it. Okay, I think I have another caller who can help me. Hello?
Hello?
What's your name?
Omar Yamini,
And what school do you represent?
North Beach Elementary.
Great. Have you ever seen a bat flying around?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, while I was walking with my friends, like, around his house,
Okay.
I also...
Here in Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. There are some for sure here.
Yeah.
And there are also some other things that fly at night, like there's some nighthawks that are birds that sort of look like bats and they're not.
Yeah.
So sometimes people confuse those. Okay, so what do most of the bats in the United States eat?
I think, like, fruits.
Insects.
Insects?
Most
Oh.
of them eat insects.
Cool.
And the more bats we have that eat insects, how can that benefit us?
Well, then the insects can't bite us as much, and there's not enough insects to, like, give us disease.
That's right. So that it keeps down pest insects maybe that bite us or injure our crops or whatever. So they're a very beneficial animal. And if we keep our bat populations alive in a community, usually you have fewer pests. So that's kind of a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'd like for you to look with me at let's look at a picture,
Okay.
okay? What's wrong with this picture?
Well, it looks like the bat's, like, covering himself
Well, he is. Yeah, what's he covering himself with?
with his wings.
With his wing, but what's wrong with this picture? Something is very wrong with it, but most people don't get it when they first look at it.
He's sitting on a piece of wood.
Actually,
What?
he's not.
Oh, he's hanging, but it
That's
looks like
right.
he's singing.
Good for you. And because bats, if we photograph them in the position they're usually in, they don't look like this, do they?
No.
But we like to see other animals' faces turned the same way our face is so that we can examine their face. So it's easy to look at their features if they're right side up. But most of the time when we look at bats, they might be upside down. So
Yeah.
let's take a look at how this picture should look.
Okay.
Like that, with him hanging.
That's a lot stranger.
So you were right. You're one of the few kids that actually got it right away. And one of the reasons, do you have any idea why this animal would have to hang instead of stand? They
No.
can't stand.
They can't?
They cannot.
Maybe his wings are connected to his feet, and it's hard for him to balance himself.
Well, actually, they are. The wings are connected by some skin to the feet, but there's an even more important reason.
Why?
All right, they have to fly, and they want to be, if you're going to fly, you're going to have to be as lightweight as you can. Our legs have big, huge bones in them. Big, huge bones. In order for us to stand up, they have to be big bones with a lot of muscle, and those weigh a lot. It takes more strength and more muscle and stronger bones to stand up than it does to just hang. Do you know that? So he's actually gotten rid of some very heavy structures, which are heavy bones in the legs and heavy muscles, by just hanging instead of standing.
Cool.
So that makes him lighter.
Yeah.
And females especially need to be lighter because when they carry a baby, it can be about 1/3 their weight.
Really?
1/3 is a lot. How much do you weigh?
94 pounds?
Okay, so you're almost 100. So if you can imagine holding a 30-pound ball and trying to fly with it. That'd be real hard, right?
Probably.
Yes, in other words, but these animals actually manage it. Not always perfectly. Toward the end of their pregnancies, they get very clumsy and they do fall into nets that researchers use, so we catch an awful lot of pregnant females when we catch some. I was capturing some last week in Costa Rica, some of the most delightful things we ever saw. And so we're going to be talking about some of those
Bats?
creatures.
You were catching
Bats, and they're adorable. We got to hold all of them except a vampire. We actually caught a vampire,
A vampire.
a real vampire.
Cool.
And it was really, really awesome. He's a cute little vampire. Vampires have pretty faces, and I'm going to show you one in a minute. You've been a wonderful caller. I hope you'll call me right back. I have some other callers to help me.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think I have another caller who can help me. Hello?
Hello,
What's your name?
Jarve,
Great. What school do you represent?
Loveglade Elementary.
Good. Now, have you ever seen a bat live?
No,
No. Okay. They're in your neighborhood probably, but they're hard to see because most of the time people aren't out at night. And they're very fast, and you just might never have seen them. I would like for you to look at a picture with me. I have a picture of a fruit bat that's kind of pretty. Why don't you look at it with me, okay?
okay,
Okay. So, because some bats do eat fruit. I want you to look at this. This man is holding this bat, and in order to see this little bat's structures, he's holding it by the wings, and so he's got, he had to hold it here. This little thing is large enough to bite. A lot of little bats will try to bite you just because they're scared. They're not sure if you're going to hurt them or eat them. They think you're going to eat them. But they're real, real smart. Look how small these legs are. See how tiny they are?
yeah,
He could never stand up on
I
these
don't
little
know.
skinny things. What'd you say?
nothing.
Okay, and I want you to notice something else too. His knees point backwards. His knees do not point forward like yours, they point to the back.
Yes, they
Isn't that
do.
weird?
Yes,
Okay, now do you see, here's his arm, right?
yeah,
And look at these finger bones. These are like if you made your fingers really, really long and put skin between them, this would be just finger bones right here. See that?
they do really do look like bones.
What they do. And right underneath this man's fingers are a little tiny thumb that sticks up, and the bats sometimes use that to help them climb. Okay?
Okay,
He's got kind of a cute little face. This one actually eats fruit. He has smaller ears than some of the insect eaters because the insect eaters sometimes need to have bigger ears to locate them using echolocation. So this is a nice looking bat that we caught when we went on our trip to Costa Rica. It's one of the pretty ones. So thank you for helping me.
okay,
Call me back. I hope you will. I think we have another caller who can help me. Hi, what's
Hi.
your name?
Julio,
And what school do you represent?
Carl Park Elementary.
Good. Now, can you read?
Yes,
I'd like for you to read something for me,
okay,
okay? Because you might be surprised at this list that we're going to see. We're going to look at a list of what bats eat.
okay. Aerial insectivores.
Okay, let's read the title first, the
Oh.
title up here.
Diversity in feeding behavior.
You know what diversity means?
Um,
Means like variety, like different types of feeding behavior. Okay, what does this first one mean?
aerial insectivores.
Okay, you know what aerial means?
Bats that eat insects.
Oh, yeah, they do eat insects, but this means while they're flying. Aerial means in the air. And insectivore means they're going to eat insects. This part of the word right here, vor,
Yeah.
see that? It's in every one of these. And that means that's what they're eating. So they put the word in front of what they're eating and then the word vor after it. That means that's what they eat. So these have to be very special wings that can just really maneuver because they got to catch the fast insects. Okay, would you read the next one?
Gleaning and fly-catching insectivores.
Okay, gleaning is kind of weird. Gleaning means that these bats land and crawl along a branch and crawl through the leaves very quietly. They're not doing it while they're flying, they're crawling. And when they crawl, they listen very carefully, have real big ears. And they find little tiny insects that are hiding because the insects make little noises when they move their legs so they can find them. Also, they catch some by flying. What's this next word?
Omnivores.
You know what omni means?
A bat that doesn't eat prey, meat.
Well, actually, they can eat anything. Omni means all. So he might eat insects, he might eat fruit, he might eat lizards. So some of the omnivores eat lots of things. There's